Sakshi and I welcome you all to my EduTech platform, Way to Learn. So, before I start, I would like to tell you to be ready with a pen and a notebook. So, we are going to solve together the previous year questions of classical mechanics. So, today it's from CSI June 2011. We are going to solve the 3.5 marks and 5 marks questions. So, let us jump for our first problem. So here we have a particle with a potential which is given as v of x is equal to ax squared plus b by x squared, and we have to find the angular frequency of oscillations. So this is from stability analysis. So if you know how to work out, just pause the video and work out the problem and then check the answer. So let us solve. I'm going to solve with you. So we have our potential given as ax squared plus b by x squared. So now the first step would be to find the equilibrium position, which is dou v by dou x is equal to 0. So on doing my dou v by dou x, I get 2ax minus 2b by x square is equal to, x cube is equal to 0. So 2ax is equal to 2b by x cube. Then my x power 4 will be b by a. So my x now will be b by a the whole power 1 by 4. So this is our equilibrium points. X is equal to plus or minus v by a the whole power 1 by 4. Now the second step is to find the second derivative, which is dou square v by dou x square. So on doing that, I get my dou square v by dou x square as 2a minus into minus will be plus 6b by x power 4. So now I have to substitute my x with the equilibrium point. So my dou square v by dou x square will be now 2a plus 6b by b by a. So now I can cancel my b and I get 2a plus 6a, which is equal to 8a. Now this is my k. I know that k is equal to dou square v by dou x square. So next step is to find the omega, which is root over k by m. So I know my k is 8a, and if you see the question, we have unit mass given. So m will be 1. So my omega at the end will be root over 8a. So this is my angular frequency. Okay, so let us go to a second problem. Here the acceleration due to gravity, that is g, is given of the earth with respect to like Mars, and similarly the radius of the earth and Mars is given. We have to find the ratio of the escape velocity on earth, ratio of escape velocity on earth to that of the Mars. So this is from basic classical mechanics, that is basic concept of classical mechanics. So we are going to solve that. So before that we have to know, we have to know what is escape velocity. That is the formula for escape velocity. So I write the escape velocity v as root over 2gr. Here g is the acceleration due to gravity and r is the radius. So now according to question, the acceleration due to gravity of earth, that is on earth, is approximately 2.6 times than on the surface of Mars. So it is 2.6 times than on the surface of Mars. And similarly here if you see, the radius of the Mars is about 1/2 of the radius of the earth. So radius of the Mars is 1/2 of the radius of the earth. So I'm going to write this as RE is equal to 2RM. So now we have been asked what is escape velocity for Earth with respect to Mars. V is to Vm. So now we have to write what is Ve, which is 2GeRe, and Vm, which is 2gm Rm. So next step is we have to divide those both, and we are going to get 2GeRe by 2gm Rm. So now these two will get cancelled, and I know that GE in terms of GM is 2.6 into GM, and RE in terms of RM is 2RM, and this GM is same here, so I can cancel this. So what is remaining is 5.2. So VE by VM is 5.2. Now we know that 23 square is 529. So I'm just going to approximate this to be as 2.3. So if you can calculate, you can just calculate and see, you'll get 2.3 as your answer. So it's our option C. So I hope you understand this. So let us see our next problem. In here, the Hamiltons of the system, Hamiltonian is given, and we have to find which of the following is correct. So here we have various options. So here if you see different phase trajectory cannot intersect with each other, that is true, but only for conservative system. So this is false, and H always represents the total energy of the system and is a constant of motion. This is also true, but it is not a constant of motion when it is along with some other quantity, and if the Poisson bracket is equal to 0, that particular quantity will be a constant of motion, right? So this option B is also wrong. So let us see what is option C. So option C here is the equations, the Hamilton's equations are not valid. It's obviously false. These equations are always valid. So next, option D is here. Any initial volume element in phase space remains unchanged in magnitude under time evolution. So this exact option D, it represents the Liouville's theorem. So it says the exact thing which is said in the option D. That is, there is no change in the magnitude even in the time evolution. That is, even if there is a change in the quantity, there is no change in the magnitude of the volume present in the phase space. So our option D is correct. So let us see our next question. Yeah. So till this, that is still problem 3, we have like 5 marks. Sorry, they were 3.5 marks. Now we are going to see the 5 marks. So our problem 4 is like we have given Lagrangian in the presence of electric and magnetic fields, and here A and phi are the scalar and vector potential, and we have to find which of the following statement is correct. So again, if you see, um, like here it's this problem is from classical mechanics and electromagnetic, both are like involved here. So because electric and magnetic fields are involved in this question and Lagrangian is involved, so I say that this question is from classical mechanics and also electromagnetics. So let us see that here which of the following statement is correct. So now if you see, the canonically conjugate momentum of the particle is given by P is equal to mv. So I know that canonically conjugate momentum here for this equation will be dou L by dou V, right? So if you do dou L by dou V, you're not going to get mv. You're going to get an extra term which is EA. So hence this is wrong. So let us see the next option. The Hamiltonian of the particle is given by this. If you solve by using that conversion formula, you're not going to get the same Hamiltonian. So this option will also be wrong. And L remains unchanged during the under Gates transformation of the potential. This is the option C. And option D says that under the Gates transformation of the potentials, L changes by the total time derivative of the function. So we are going to just see if our Lagrangian changes under gauge transformation or not. So if you have learned gauge transformation, like you would have learned in during your EMT theory, that you have your vector potential and scalar potential, right? So under gauge transformation, you are going to transform this to a new potential. So my new potential will take the form a vector plus del lambda, and this will take my form as phi minus dou lambda by dou t. So this lambda is a constant. Okay, it's not a constant. This lambda is a function, scalar function, which depends on x and t. So you have to remember this. This lambda which we choose is a scalar function which depends on x and t. So now I'm going to substitute in this Lagrangian instead of a and phi. So I know my Lagrangian to be L is equal to half mv square plus ea minus e phi. So instead of a, I'm going to use my new transform potential, which is a prime and phi prime. So L is equal to half mv square plus. So this will become L prime because I'm going to change it new terms. So a prime here will be so if you see here, you have this Lagrangian term along with some extra term. So in this extra term, you can see that your L prime depends on lambda, right? So your L prime, that is transform Lagrangian under gauge transformation, that is the new Lagrangian, depends on lambda. So this lambda depends on that is x and t. Hence, if you see the option D, under gauge transformation of the potentials, L changes by total time derivative of a function of R and T. So, this is the suitable option and it is correct. So, let us see the next problem. So, here, this is from moment of inertia problem. I have never taught this in my videos, but I'm just going to tell you how to solve this particular problem. So here, there is no torque applied. That is, in the absence of torque, we have three moment of inertia given as I1, I2, and I3. And we have the Euler equations also given. So these are the three Euler equations. So now the first question from this is the equilibrium points in W1, W2, W3 space R. So what are the equilibrium points? Right. So we are going to here find the equilibrium points. So that is the solution of the equilibrium point. That is, at what point are our omega 1, omega 2, and omega 3 are at equilibrium. So basically, from our Euler's Lagrange, that is Euler equations, we have omega 1 dot, omega 2 dot, and omega 3 dot. Just note it down; it is important. So now at equilibrium position, our omega 1 dot will be 0, omega 2 dot will be 0, and omega 3 dot will be 0. So when omega 1 dot is 0, Then from our Euler's equations, we have here omega 2 into omega 3 to be 0. And similarly over here we have omega 1 into omega 3 to be 0. And here omega 1 into omega 2 to be 0. Okay, so now we know that omega 1 dot is 0 and other terms, that is and so on, whatever I have written over there. So whenever we have such kind of situation, the general solution is given as, sorry, no overwriting. So this is the general solution for any value of c. So now we have to see, so at equilibrium points, these a, b and c will take the value as 1. So our solution will be 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. So at equilibrium points, these will be the solution. So option C satisfies. So similarly, using the same question, that is using the same whole Euler's equation, the question, we have to find the constant of motion. So first, just remember that in this Euler's equation, we have two constant of motion first. One, L will be a constant of motion. Why? Because here torque is 0. That is, there is no torque applied. So torque is given as dl by dt. So torque will be 0, then dl by dt will be 0, which means L is a constant of motion. So just remember, in these kind of questions, L will be a constant of motion and kinetic energy is the constant of motion. So you have to remember these things. Okay, so now in terms of like moment of inertia, I write L to be I omega. You can just go through a theory once when you have to see such kind of problems. So L is given as I into omega and T is given as half I into omega square. So here we have three principal moment of inertia, that is I1, I2 and I3. So similarly it will have three omegas, that is omega 1, omega 2 and omega 3. So L can take the values as I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2 plus I3 omega 3. So, and T can take the value as half I1 omega 1 square plus I2 omega 2 square plus I3 omega 3 square. So this is the entire equation which satisfies T and L. Okay, now we have to see if there is any option which suits this L and T values. So if you see the option, so here we don't have any such values. So first we are going to set this as we want, like as it is given in our option. So I say that here L square is equal to I1 square omega 1 square plus I2 square omega 2 square plus I3 square omega 3 square. So here L represents L dot L. It's not squaring the whole term, not A plus B plus C the whole square. It is L dot L dot product. And then if you see, you can take this 2 over here. So you get 2t, which is equal to I1 omega 1 square plus I2 omega 2 square plus I3 omega 3 square. So these are the two constant of motion, and if we see the option B will satisfy this equation. This is for the kinetic energy and this is for the L value, right? So angular momentum. Okay, I hope you understand this. So now let us see our last problem here. So we have the Hamiltonian given and we have some initial conditions. So now they have been given that during the motion, the curve traced out by the particles in the xy plane and the px-py plane are. So there are two planes here. One is xy and the other is px-py plane. So now here we have to, the question says that we have to find like what is the curve traced. Are the option says that are they both straight lines or straight line and a hyperbola, hyperbola and an ellipse, are they both hyperbolas? So we are going to find what are they going to trace. Okay, so basically we can first use the Hamilton's equation of motion. So first I am going to write what is the Hamilton given here, which is H is equal to x px y py okay. So next we have to substitute, like use the Hamilton's equation of motion. Okay, so we know that the Hamilton's equation of motion are and right. So now my xi that I have x and y, so I can first find what is x dot. So x dot is dou h by dou px, right? So dou h by dou px will give me x. Similarly, y dot will give me minus y, right? So I can write this x dot as dx by dt is equal to x, and this as dy by dt equal to y. So now when I integrate this, like dx by x is equal to dt, and similarly dy by y is equal to dt. When I integrate these both, I get my x to be e power t, and it was minus, sorry. So y to be e power minus t. So I hope you get this when you solve. So next is, now we have to okay, now we have x and y. So if I use this x into y, I get 1. So xy is equal to 1. So this equation is similar to rectangular hyperbola. So it forms a rectangular hyperbola in x and y plane. So now we have to find what is px dot, which is minus dou h by dou x. So when I do that, I get minus of px minus x. So when I solve this, I can write this as dpx by dt is equal to x minus px. So I have substituted what is x. I know x to be e power t. So on simplifying this, one gets the value as so this is a constant of motion. Similarly, if you do for Py dot, you'll get the same thing. I'm not going to do for Py dot. You have to do the same step, and you have to simplify this differential equation and get this value. So you are going to get this value, which is equal to plus C2. So now we are going to use the initial conditions, which is given as Px of 0 and Py of 0 are 1 by 2 and 1 by 2. Right? These are the initial condition. So when you use this initial condition on these two equations, we get C1 and C2 to be 0. So if you see, our Px will be equal to half e power t, and Py will be equal to minus half. So minus half e power minus t. So one gets Px into Py as minus 1 by 4. So this equation is also similar to rectangular hyperbola. So I hope you get this. So the option is that both the curved raised are hyperbolas. So I hope you understand these questions, and these will help you to learn more. So don't lose hope that you are not understanding. Once, if you don't get any kind of answers, just go to a theory once and come back and solve the question. But if you know the question and you know how to solve, just pause the video first and then start solving the question. So thank you. So keep watching my videos, and yes, like my videos, share my videos, and also don't forget to hit the bell. So only when you hit the bell, you're going to get my notifications. So tomorrow I'll bring up a new video for mathematical physics because we are doing complex analysis. So I'm going to solve I'm going to solve some of the problems for complex analysis, a new topic from complex analysis. So see you tomorrow. Ta-da!